from my understanding, it seems that, like many of the issues we kind of face in modern political discourse, it's very much sort of whatever the eye of the beholder wishes to see from the situation. Conservatives, because here's the thing, conservatives are really being hit hard by this. I almost wrote an article that I still have like working out details, and I never finished it, in my Medium account, which is a great place to follow me. It's my blog, basically. And, the left is really going at this. There's something about shootings in America that I think a big problem about them is that they're often used as political capital. And I think that it being a midterm year is kind of really bad, because now the liberal establishment of America is kind of using this as an opportunity to go after Republicans and go after conservatives in general. The way, because it's strange, a lot of these Fox News, a lot of these like high-profile conservative commentators and figures, what they're speaking of, the issue is because it's very easy to tie to them. This kind of goes to issues like immigration and stuff like that. I don't know. I feel like we're all talking about like 6 different things at once, but we're all calling it one thing, which is a little bit destructive and distracting. I think the liberal tying of trying to ensure that conservatives with any sway, any kind of conservative with a bit of a name and a little bit of popularity is tied to the shooting as like a direct influence of it. Tucker Carlson, well named, I think is... I don't know. It just seems like a low move. I get, like, I hear the calls that essentially they need to be held accountable, because the liberal claim is that conservatives are perpetrating this idea, this replacement theory thing. And the thing is, not all the ones I've heard, or that I don't listen to a great many liberal or conservative commentators, but the ones that I do, and the ones that I hear from and that I looked up over the course of the week, as I'm listening to the different perspectives so I can try and get an idea of what's going on. I don't think it's as concise or it's as conclusive as that. Tucker Carlson, he had a bit, I think this Sunday, on his other show, not Tucker Carlson Tonight, but the other one that he does, where he like has guests on. I don't know the name of it, but it's got like this, he's got this big like wooden panel with a TV, and the guest sits on the side and he sits on behind the desk. I'm not entirely sure what it's called. I don't really care. But on that show, he was speaking to a guest about this shooting. It was just after it had happened. And Carlson kind of echoed this idea. He's like, liberals are coming after us for saying that they're trying to remove, quote-unquote, natural-born citizens' power, political sway, by importing a bunch of illegal immigrants to vote. And he's like, but that is happening. That is, I mean, first and foremost, kind of shifting the goalposts here. This was a racially motivated attack specifically against black people. It's mentioned in the manifesto from the reports we're told. I'd love to actually have a copy to read so I can understand a little bit more of what this person was thinking. But I think a big issue with the entire logic there is just simply that it's based in the whole liberal elite, stupid, us versus them, good versus evil nonsense that is completely unfalsifiable. You can't prove it does or doesn't exist. You can't define it. There's no parameters to work with. We're working with a big moot nothing as the basis for which is supposed to exist some kind of stupid debate. When, I can't say for sure that this is a guy who just like wants white people to have more political power or not. I can't. This guy is like walking back on so many different ideas and jumping back and forth between different points that I wouldn't be able to tell you for the life of me what Tucker Carlson's mindset is. So I can't really say, oh, the liberals are going too far, or they're making the right call saying Tucker Carlson should be held accountable for supposedly spreading this theory. I do think the stuff he talks about when it comes to this whole being great, like this whole great replacement thing, is ridiculous. I think it would make sense, but the issue is he makes it out as if it's like this evil plot. No, it's the same as Republicans moving polling locations and other voting necessities out of predominantly black neighborhoods. Now, do I think that that's because Republicans hate black people? No, I think that's just because Republicans want to make it harder for Democrats to vote, just as Democrats would love to make it harder for Republicans to vote. Just like the two of them do for people who don't want to vote for either of them. They use the money and influence they have to try and make it harder for anyone else to vote. Now that those two have gotten rid of every single other option on the board because they flood our discourse with propaganda and rhetoric, since they have more money than every other group or candidate in the country, now they're trying to do it to each other, which is an issue because they both have sizable foundations of financial and I suppose, political capital that they're working with that their other opponents, third-party independent candidates, just wouldn't have. And I think it just so happens that Democrats, that in certain instances and in many communities, and just historically speaking, black people have been registered Democrats. That's just, that's just the statistical data. Do I think that has any relevance or any grand moral purpose? No, I think that's just, that party in the kind of switching area period in the late 60s kind of shifted its rhetoric and became this kind of safe haven for black Americans during the civil rights movement. And so I wouldn't blame anyone for registering Democrat, but that's besides the point. The point being that, and I think it would, also make political sense, but this is all like speculation though. This isn't like there's a secret dossier that like reveals the Democrats have this evil plan. That's just it feels more like a broad moral emotional aphorism used to propagate political fear in hopes of gaining support in the midterms. And so my ultimate issue with the politicization of the politicization, maybe it is the politicization. My issue with that discussion, the political hue to this issue, is that it's just gross and unfitting.